You're listening to the New Artist Workshop.
I can't actually remember the last time you were the one risking something. And by the way, the women are always saving the men around here. You might want to think about changing the name to ex-women.
Welcome back to your favorite podcast. Now, that's what I call a franchise. I'm Peter Mancuso.
And I'm Viviana Metzger. And this is a show where Peter and I pick a film franchise and go through every single installment. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
And to be clear, we are defining a franchise as a series of films with at least 4 entries. We've been talking about the X-Men franchise. Yep. This is the 12th entry in the franchise. Yep. So, Viviana, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the 2019 film Dark Phoenix, and this is your one and only spoiler warning, so yeah.
So here's the letterboxd blurb, and it is by far the longest letterboxd blurb thus far.
Is that a run-on sentence?
We're gonna find out. So, here it is. The X-Men face their most formidable and powerful foe. I feel like they say that every time. When one of their own, Jean Grey, starts to spiral out of control. During a rescue mission in outer space, Jean is nearly killed when she's hit by a mysterious cosmic force. Once she returns home, this force not only makes her infinitely more powerful, but far more unstable. The X-Men must now band together to save her soul and battle aliens that want to use Grey's new abilities to rule the galaxy. I feel like any one of those sentences could have been the blurb.
Oh my.
And it was just a big... Basically, they just explained the entire plot of the movie except for, like, the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of basic info.
Okay.
So it was written and directed by Simon Kinberg, who has been involved with the franchise up to this point.
Okay.
He had co-written The Last Stand, Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse. He had produced... In addition to producing those, he also produced and not co-wrote First Class, both Deadpool's, Logan. And this film is actually his directorial debut. And it shows. It was distributed by 20th Century Fox. It came out in June of 2019. Just only maybe a month after Avengers Endgame. What?
I'm looking at those numbers.
Oh, you're looking at... Yeah. The numbers that Viviana's referring to, it was made for a budget of about $200 million and grossed only $252 million. And you would think, okay, well, it at least made a profit. Well, no, because the budget doesn't factor in, like, advertising. So a good rule of thumb is, like, you want to make back double your budget just to break even.
Yeah.
So this was it was a flop.
They lost money.
They lost money on this. X-Men Apocalypse also was not, like, a great moneymaker, but I don't... it wasn't as bad as this. This is, like, bad. This is honestly, looking at all the films, even, like, the really shitty ones, this is probably, like, the first true, like, big flop of them thus far.
More than Apocalypse?
Yeah, because Apocalypse was, like, underwhelming. Especially coming off of Future Past, Deadpool.
Yeah.
But, I mean, well, let me look. So, Apocalypse... it was made for less money than this. It was made for about $178 million and made $544 million. So that was more than double. So again, it wasn't gangbusters. But it was still, okay, it was successful-ish. So I would say this is like the first true flop.
Yeah.
Like it literally...
That's true.
Like, all of the other percent returns are, like, at least in the hundreds, if not 200%, 300%. But this one is, like, 26% return. And again, that's not covering advertising costs. So
if anyone knows anything about numbers, or maybe you don't, that's a bad investment.
It's just bad.
That's a very bad investment.
Yeah. So, in terms of previous experience, neither of us had seen this before.
Nope. I didn't even know this existed.
And I think a lot of people didn't know that it existed, which is why I didn't do so super well.
Yeah.
I think this is part of the trivia. And where is it? I'll paraphrase it and then we'll talk about it again later. But Simon Kinberg partially blamed the film's box office failure on the fact, like, so the this film is very much like a victim of like the Disney Fox acquisition.
Yeah.
Where, for those of you who don't know, basically, 20th Century Fox, its own big movie studio that existed before Disney existed.
Yeah.
Was bought by Disney in late 2017. And by the time this movie starts coming out, like, I think Simon Kinberg said something like the advertising budget was kind of cut or like was delayed because of the merger. So like there wasn't as much advertising as he would have wanted for it, but I still don't think it would have done well.
That might have been a factor, but I don't think that was the entire reason.
And I would go so far as to say that Apocalypse only did as well as it did off of the heels of Days of Future Past. So because people didn't really like Apocalypse, like even more people didn't show up for this movie.
Yeah.
And again, it only came out like a month after Endgame. That was another reason that Simon Kinberg, like that's something else he blamed it on. Oh, Vivian's choking. Wrong pipe.
Yeah, wrong pipe. My epiglottis didn't work.
Much how like this film kind of went down the wrong pipe of Hollywood. He keeps blaming it on a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, no, the movie's just not good.
Oh, Simon.
It's just not good. Do I want to say it's the worst one? I don't know. I think that's what we're gonna talk about. Is it worse than Apocalypse? I don't know. I feel like Apocalypse had higher highs but lower lows, whereas this one was more just like consistently mediocre.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like.
So a little bit of background on the movie. So Kinberg, like I said, so he had co-written X-Men: The Last Stand, which also was an attempt to tell the Dark Phoenix storyline.
Yes.
So he had already been involved with this, but him and his co-writer Zach Penn were not happy with how that the Dark Phoenix arc played out.
He really loves the storyline.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is one of the most, not just one of the most famous X-Men storylines, but one of the most famous storylines in comic book history, right?
Sure.
So I can see like the urge to like, let's try to do it again. Like, let's try to get it right. It makes sense that the last time it didn't really work out super well because it was like one of two storylines. Because let's not forget there was also like the Cure.
The Cure one, yeah.
Fast forward to like the mid 2010s, after they reset the timeline with Days of Future Past, they now had the chance to redo it.
This is completely a different timeline, right? Because
100%.
Okay, because I was like, how did they die? If 10 years later, they're supposed to be at the Empire State Building.
You mean the Statue of Liberty?
The Statue of Liberty.
No, this is the new timeline created from Days of Future Past.
Okay.
But Days of Future Past did exactly what Fox wanted, was basically wipe away all the shit that had come before it.
And make new shit.
And they as we now in hindsight see, makes new shit, but this was kind of one of the benefits, was like now they have the chance to redo the storyline and like quote unquote do it right.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they also kind of wanted, even though they don't like literally reset the timeline again, Fox kind of wanted this to kind of be like a soft-ish reboot of the franchise again, focusing more on the newer characters because of the underperformance of Apocalypse, both financially and critically. It's not like critics loved it, but people didn't go see it. Like critics didn't like it. If anything, critics disliked it more than fans did. So they wanted to do something bold. In the way that Logan was bold, Deadpool was bold. I feel like this is like the least bold movie in the whole franchise. You know what I mean? The film, when a movie keeps getting pushed back, it's going to be a phenomenal film. The film was meant to come out in November 2018, but then was pushed to February 2019, and then pushed again to June 2019 because there was reshoots, because they did test screenings that were very negative. So they like had to reshoot stuff.
Oh man.
Like change scenes, So it was just a clusterfuck.
Okay.
So why don't we get into the nitty gritty here and talk about what we think?
Okay.
I actually have more notes on this than Deadpool, despite liking Deadpool 2, despite liking that movie more. I think.
Okay.
But I have more notes here, but probably because I don't like it as much. Like I have more to complain about.
Let's start us off.
Sophie Turner. Let's just start there. I'm sorry. She definitely is better in this than she was in the last one. For sure. Yeah, but that's not really saying much because she was kind of like again, I don't want to like feed into like hate culture where basically people just like talk about how much they hate something from like a movie or piece of media to like make it entertaining. But I'm gonna do that for the next like couple minutes. I feel like at least in Apocalypse, you could have just set up like a mop instead of Sophie Turner, and it still would have been like an equally.
Oh my god!
Like I feel like she did a horrible job in the last one.
I feel like she's
this
just
one's
like
a little bit better.
Miscast because like I mean I don't know if like I don't know where she stands on like the big stage, you know, but like giving her some benefit of the doubt, like. She's a very emoteless actress, and when she does, it's usually like very strong, restrained, and fierce and cold. You know, like Sansa.
I was gonna ask, is that kind of like fit her character in Game of Thrones well?
Yeah, she was basically like the same person. She's basically like the same person until like.
Maybe
last
she's just
season.
playing one character and isn't a good actress.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I know Joe Jonas loves her. I'm sorry, but okay.
But yeah, she, kind of like a actress, I guess. But like, I think she does really well, like in that respect. Whereas, like, I think because there is less of this, or like, it's supposed to be like more chaotic than like a very. I'm holding myself back to tell you off type of thing. Like, yeah, it doesn't go well. She's just like a, you know, like an...
The Dark Phoenix thing is a very emotional situation to be in.
Yeah, you know Ed, Ed, and Eddie?
Yes.
You know the plank of wood?
Yeah.
I feel like that was a meter.
That was... I don't know, like, literally the first thing that the movie starts after the 20th Century Fox logo with, I don't know, this is the 12th movie in the franchise. Why are they suddenly now highlighting the X in Fox? Red, like, oh, it's like a little too late to do like a cool, anyway. But then after that, the first thing is like a little voiceover from Sophie Turner saying some like very generic cliche line. Also, another thing about this is like the script has so many cliched like lines or
so many that like
Viviana was
like,
predicting them.
I said them like 5 seconds before they said
like
them.
As a joke,
like
and then
that's
they would
bad.
Say
like usually I can't guess, but like that was bad. Like
yeah, so she makes some like speech at the beginning, like you know, like I don't even remember what she says, but it's like, you know,
something
like,
about being destined to
yeah.
like basically you got to choose your own, like can you choose your own destiny?
Yeah,
or like are you just predetermined fate?
And Sophie Turner reading it I was just like, oh man, I'm not. This is not gonna be fun.
Which is so weird because like.
Again, to be fair, it's not like the actress from the original X-Men films like was much better, but when she had to be like she was able like for those scenes that she needed to be more like emotional or like have more dimension, she did. Yeah, you know, I would say her flaw was the material didn't give her like that actress. I thought did a good job. She just didn't have good material to work with. Whereas in this problem, like she still doesn't have. Sophie Turner also doesn't have good material, but Sophie Turner doesn't know what to do with bad material.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the difference was like the infusion of like maybe sexuality because like the older one. Like the older Jean Grey would like be kind of like more promiscuous and like,
or at least like, people like Mystique if she's like impersonating her, but that actress still has to do it.
Well, so I'm thinking about when she's on the table.
The Phoenix. Oh yes,
and then she's trying to have sex with Logan, and then she like turns, or she's like, you know, just emotions are so strong, but also like, you know, so yeah, but that didn't happen, and
I would say if anything in the originals, Jean was more underdeveloped, whereas in this movie, she's just like poorly written. Like it's like actually like not good. And Sophie Turner doesn't know what to do.
I feel like the other actors could have done that, you know, like
because like, in a vacuum, I feel like of all the stuff about the Dark Phoenix, the way they portrayed it in The Last Stand,
yeah,
I don't think Famke Janssen's performance is the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think...
know. I mean, she was Dark Phoenix for, like, 2 minutes, and then, like...
It was very rushed, yeah. Like,
yeah.
So anyway, so we start with a flashback of Jean as a little girl. Which, even though these are different timelines... See, here's the thing. I don't mind... Obviously, there's different timelines.
Yeah.
But theoretically, people would still be being born at the same times.
Okay.
How is... In the original timeline, Jean is, like, this age in, like, the mid-80s.
Okay.
But now she's this age in the mid-70s. So, what's going on?
I don't know.
It doesn't really matter.
Well, also, one thing before we get into it, I would like to say that, like, for a movie that kind of, like, opens up with a VO that is not Charles, I feel like would be a lot more character-centered, but I feel like we just didn't really get, like, much insight into it. Like,
yeah.
It was like when it was happening, the transitions or whatever to Dark Phoenix, or like you know, it was kind of taking over. It was just like the camera's shaky. Like it didn't, like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Like,
I think what you're trying to say is
like I couldn't really get emotionally involved because like.
I wish I had a little bit more insight into her emotional journey besides just like the obvious like, cliche external like, oh, get out of my head, like you know what I mean? Like it's like it isn't very novel. Yeah. And even if it's not, but even if like you discount the fact like it's like very generic, it also is like a very like it's not a very effective filmmaking tactic.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's not compelling because even while we were watching it, I was like, oh, look at that. Someone changes like all of their morals or like standpoint after like a 2-minute pep talk. Like there's nothing, there's no push and pull. It's really just like, this needs to happen in order to move the story. Like
it also doesn't help that like this movie is a sequel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't really feel like I really understood Jean from the last one either.
Oh, she was barely in it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and then like, you know what I mean? Like this movie, this film. If
anything, she should have been more bitchier because she was bitchy in the first one.
Yeah, she was kind of bitchy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at least that would be interesting.
The flaws of this film are a direct result of the flaws of Apocalypse. And if we remember, one of the things I had said about Apocalypse was like, the movie doesn't really do a good job of making us care about any of the characters. So the only characters we do care about are not just the characters, but the characters as played by these actors.
Yeah.
That were in movies that didn't make us care about them. So like in Apocalypse, I care about Magneto because like First Class and Days of Future Past made me care about Michael Fassbender's Magneto. Well,
I do not care about the new guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because their only appearance in this iteration.
We're even supposed to like care for like the First Class people, like Raven and Hank and everything. I'm like,
this movie definitely like loses.
I don't really care.
Though I will say, and we'll get into it. It's kind of like Deadpool 2, where like the first like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I was kind of liking it.
Yeah.
I thought the pacing was good. The performances were fine. I thought it was like a good schlocky comic booky kind of movie.
Yeah, that's a great
and it wasn't dull
segue into it. Yeah, because I did enjoy like the opening bit with like her as a kid and then like, you know, not being able to control her powers and like all this stuff.
Like I like the stuff with like the X-Men going in to rescue it's very like it feels like it was again. I did not really watch the animated series very much. I think I saw like a couple because when I was a kid, this is like pre-Netflix, obviously.
Yeah.
So, like, the only way if I wanted to watch that, because it wasn't really on TV in reruns. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think I only ever saw the animated series as, like, renting VHSs from the library. And, like, the VHSs would have, like 2 episodes on it. It would be, like, a compilation of, like, 2 or 3 episodes that, like, had nothing to do with each other.
Back in the day,
like,
man.
yeah. Like, renting from the library. But anyway.
Not even Blockbuster.
But, yeah. Well, I mean, it's free.
That's true.
No, but, it felt like this could, despite me not really having a lot of familiarity with the animated series, I feel like this first 10 minutes, like, a schlocky premise, like, the X-Men have to be called in by the president to go rescue up. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? If the movie's like this...
That's fine.
I was like, if the movie's like this, like, okay, like, that's fine. Yeah. Like, it seems kind of fun. Like, I like seeing them have their powers.
Yeah, the mayor has to call the Powerpuff Girls, so why can't the president call in the X-Men?
Sometimes I'm easier on. I mean, it seems like paradoxical, but like sometimes I'm easier on movies that like are worse, but like aren't trying to be better than a movie that's trying to be better but is. Like, if you have a movie that's trying to be really, really good and misses the mark, it's really painfully clear. But if the movie, like, but if you have a movie, like, this is my hot take of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and we'll get to this when we touch Star Wars.
I don't
my
wanna
favorite.
Make waves.
I don't want to make waves. This is really going to make waves. This is like the most unpopular Star Wars opinion you could possibly have.
Okay.
My favorite of the sequel trilogy of episodes 7, 8, and 9 is 9. Because it's pretty bad, but the good stuff I can do because it's the one where Palpatine comes back to life. Viviana's looking at me with stupefaction, but not because she's offended.
Where he like becomes Darth Vader.
No.
Oh, the newer ones.
The newer ones.
I thought you were when you said the sequels. I thought I was thinking of the early 2000s. Okay, anyway.
Instead of the sequels, you thought the exact opposite. Of course, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Because with The Rise of Skywalker, it's a pretty bad film.
Yes.
But because of that, I can just enjoy the good parts of it.
Yes.
Like, it's not so bad that makes me angry. And, like, because it's Star Wars-y, like, I can enjoy it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can just enjoy it for what it is. Because it's not trying to be more.
Okay.
Whereas something else that, like... My point being is that, like, I kind of liked this. If it was just like the first 10 minutes, I would like it more than Apocalypse, because Apocalypse is trying to be like this super serious epic.
Yeah.
And failing. Whereas this movie was, at least in the first 10 minutes, was just like, okay.
Classic origin story. Classic, right?
It's just like a dumb superhero movie. I'm just going to enjoy this for what it is. Oh, cool powers. Mm-hmm, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, the Storm's sewing up the spaceship with ice. Okay, like, I'm for it. Okay, let's do it. But anyway, we're jumping ahead. So 1975.
Yeah.
Jean's with her parents in the car, and Jean wants them to change the song, which I don't know why. It was a perfectly good song. And Jean basically makes her mom pass out, and then they get into a car accident, and supposedly her parents die.
Both her parents die.
Even
though, as they zoom in on the close up of her mom in the rear view mirror, I see her dad's nose breathing. So when at first
I don't know. That may have just been an accident. I don't think that's supposed to be foreshadowing. I think the actor just was not actually dead.
No, he wasn't.
Also, how did you see him breathing through his nose? I thought you maybe. When you said you saw him breathing, I thought you meant like you saw his stomach or something. Like, how do you?
Both.
But how did you see it coming out of his nose? Like, where's his mustache hairs?
No, like his nose expanded. You know, like when you like take a big breath. Like
yes.
Like.
No, I know exactly what you mean now.
But then he said that they were dead later, so I was like, oh, maybe he like died in the hospital or something.
Yeah. So anyway, so Jean is the only survivor because she's powerful. Which, here's the thing. The last movie heavily implied that they were going to go the same route as X-Men The Last Stand. Because as we know, maybe I should recap. So basically, Jean, she's not born with the Dark Phoenix power. She absorbs
gets it from space,
But, so in this movie...
They're going to do both.
They're going to do both. Because in the last movie, they implied that she was the Dark Phoenix already.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why it's like they... I don't know. Maybe because Simon Kinberg didn't have complete control over Apocalypse. So then when he got to do this one, he was like, I want to tell, like, the Dark Phoenix story proper.
Yeah.
But
you know what? I think
I'm just going to ignore it. Again, the time-honored tradition of just ignoring whatever the continuity... Whatever's not convenient for the story you want to make now.
I'm like, oh, here's a story. Nope, don't want to do it. And, something that I think the writing could have done to make it a little bit more compelling is like is for Jean to have control of her own powers, and then it's the Dark Phoenix that she can't control, whereas like in this, she can't control anything. Like, first she can't control her powers when she's just normal, and then she gets this big old powerful cosmic energy being, and she still can't control her powers. She can't control nothing.
And that tracks from the original films too, where it's like obviously not as bad, but that's something where she talks about at least not being able to use her powers completely.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing in X2, like where she like can't control her. Yeah. So.
But like, at least I think that would help more than like quiet. Get out of my head.
Yeah.
Like, is it sentient? Does it talk to her like Venom? Like
yeah,
you know? Yeah. What's happening? What's going on in that brain?
But anyway, so yeah, she's in the hospital. She's fine. Because she was protected.
Yes.
And we get this, I think, a really touching scene between her and Charles, who comes to basically bring her and kind of. He's like very reassuring, and I feel like James McAvoy has really come into the role at this point. Mm-hmm. Especially once like we get into bald Charles later on. In the
so
movie, like
smooth.
it is very smooth. His voice like literally sounds deeper. Like he's starting to sound like Patrick Stewart. I don't know if that was like intentional.
He is an old man now.
I guess so, yeah. But he's like very reassuring, and he gives like a good. I really like the analogy he gives about like the pen, where it's like it's just a tool. Like you can like write. I forget what he says, but it's like you can write poetry. Like I could stab you with it, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, but it's just a pen. Like ultimately, it's what you do with it, with the gift.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows like it's a good. It captured, I think, Professor X as a character.
That's his total philosophy and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so we flash forward. Oh no! This spaceship is gonna get hit by a solar flare. So the president calls in the X-Men.
Also, how many times are we gonna do the bit where Quicksilver saves almost everybody,
but just misses one person?
Misses that one dude.
Well, this is technically the second time.
Yeah, but it was silly the first time, so it's like, oh, we're gonna do that again.
Yeah.
And also, this was a much smaller space than a giant ass mansion.
Yeah, how did he miss him?
Like the ship was literally coming apart. How did he not see him? Like,
I don't know. But anyway, so they all go into space. Also, this is a nitpick. But I mean, I've been doing this whole time. Who's the president? I guess it's like a fictional president. Because here's the thing: is the original films, the presidents were never like obviously like Bill Clinton or George Bush. Yeah. Like it was always just like a fictional guy. But in these movies, like we saw Nixon's a real president. JFK, they mentioned. So at what point did the president stop being historical president? We see Ronald Reagan in Apocalypse in like the TV. Yeah. So when do they stop being? Because this is 1992. So does George Herbert Walker Bush not become president? Does the vice president not get to become the president of the United States?
I don't know.
But anyway, but it's interesting how like this is what made me feel like it was like very schlocky. Because it's like they have like a little like a special phone line to the president. Yeah. Like how often does this happen? The president's like, we need the X-Men.
That's like the Powerpuff Girls. What do you mean? There's no shame in it.
I'm not saying.
I think the president should have a dedicated line to a superhero.
I didn't say there was any shame. I'm just saying.
Also, why would they call them in for a presumed solar flare? Like there's solar flares all the time.
I don't know.
Whereas like a giant robot's taking over the city.
What is a solar flare? I was thinking about this like...
It's like a sun fart.
Yes, but like what literally is it? Like if I got hit by a solar flare, like would it be like getting hit with a bunch of sand?
No.
Or is it just like getting a bunch of sunburns? Or is it like getting an x-ray where like you don't see anything?
Oh my god.
When you get an x-ray?
Okay, a solar flare is an intense eruption of electromagnetic radiation
So it's radiation.
in the sun's atmosphere. Flares occur in active regions and are often, but not always, accompanied by coronal mass ejections, solar particle events, and other solar phenomena.
Oh, okay.
So basically,
I was just
not
confused.
stuff you would want to be involved with.
I don't know. I just wanted to know. I just was confused. But anyway, but it's not actually a solar flare.
No.
It's the Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I do like though that this film is a little more celestial because like in the comics, like the X-Men go to space like quite a bit, I believe.
Oh.
That's not just X-Men, but like the Marvel comics, like the comics are just very like they like a lot more like they're just weirder. Like they're more supernatural or like in this case more cosmic.
That's weird. You would think it would be like human problems and not space problems. But
Well, I mean, that was the big draw of Marvel, was that, like, because before that, like, who are the big superheroes? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Where it's like really with Stan Lee that you get things like Spider-Man, who's like a normal dude, like living in New York, as opposed to the DC comics where it's like Gotham City, Metropolis. They're all like fictional. But that being said, especially like once you get into like the 70s, the 80s, like they were all on drugs. It was very like you look at some of the art from these like comics, like like I would frame some of these as just like weird art, like, you know what I mean? Like the colors are like, it's all like pinks and yellows and like oranges. It's like really trippy and 70s-y. Psychedelic is the word I'm looking for.
Wait, if it's moving through space, is it sentient?
I think maybe this film does not delve into it, but I think in the comics it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It is the other personality that Jean exhibits is the Phoenix Force.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. It just looks like goo.
How the fuck can they breathe in space? Because when they teleport into the other spaceship, because the spaceship has kind of been like rent apart. It's like open, but like I think the only one who has a helmet on is Nightcrawler. Yeah. But Quicksilver doesn't have one. Then when Jean goes in and like
Quicksilver doesn't have one.
I don't think so.
I think because he's like so fast or whatever. But it's not about.
But if anything, he would need more air. He would need more because he's going like.
Well, it's not about the time of like the amount of exposure. It's about exposure at all. Like your head will literally explode. Like.
No, it's a myth.
What?
I think I read that's a myth that your head would explode in space.
What? Are you sure?
You'd be more likely to freeze first before your head explodes because it's so cold.
That's true. I don't know because they have no regard for
science. Yeah, you're telling me. Okay, so it's Quicksilver basically gets everyone back except for one dude, but the Phoenix Force is gonna hit the thing and the ship's gonna blow up. So Jean's like, okay, I'll go and hold everything together. And Quicksilver, you get the guy. So Jean goes over and she absorbs that Phoenix Force like she's like a little Duracell battery and just starts sucking up all that shit. And she survives. She's fine. Well, at first they think she died. They bring her back. Yeah. Oh, because the ship like explodes. Remember, right?
Yes.
But then she turns out she's all right, and everyone's like, phew. Because one of the things was that they were gonna just leave that guy behind, but then Charles, who's just basically like their eye in the sky, like he's in Cerebro. Yeah. He's like, no, we don't leave anyone behind. Go, Jean, you can do it. Because basically Charles' whole arc is like. He's like putting the priorities. He's like prioritizing like mutant kind over like the individuals and like putting their safety at risk. And that's kind of like his arc, and I do kind of like that. But what were you gonna say? Viviana has discovered something that she wants to tell me.
Well, okay. So I looked it up, and I looked at why do you have to wear a helmet in space, and it says the astronaut helmet protects its wearer from micrometeoroids, solar ultraviolet, as well as infrared radiation. And then there's like some ellipses, but then both the helmet and suit provide protection from the dangerously low pressure of outer space. Without them, internal pressure in the astronaut's body will push blood vessels and tissue outward. So kind of like the bends, but like for space.
I see. Okay. But anyway, so she survives.
Yeah.
And
no regard for science.
No. Well, I mean, it is X-Men.
And then Nightcrawler saves her, brings her back to the ship. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, we thought you were dead." And she's like, "No, I'm good. I feel better than good."
She's like, "I feel really good." Anyway, they land back on Earth and they're heroes.
Yes, everyone's cheering.
Lily has blue face, which is kind of offensive. A little kid has his face.
See that.
a little boy has like his face colored blue. for 3 of the members, they're blue. They're all blue. And they go back to the mansion, and all the kids are like, yay! They're all like lined up in the lobby like, yay! And Charles is like, excellent, 10 points for Gryffindor. Everyone gets the day off of class. But Mystique is kind of PO'd at Charles because he sent Jean back out there. So she's like, you're putting like their safety above, like, or you're like not prioritizing their safety, and you know, like you've changed. And it is interesting to like see this dynamic, like despite the films not doing a great job of developing their relationship, it is kind of cool to see how that relationship has evolved over time.
It's definitely reversed, whereas like Mystique was very, you know,
she should be the headmaster.
She was like the bad one in the other timeline, whereas he's more kind of like
he's very morally gray. Yeah, it's cool to kind of see Charles so flawed, but not be like the bum he is in Days of Future Past. That's like a different kind of flaw. This is a flaw where he's like his like arrogance. More so than like his complete, because in Days of Future Past it's the exact opposite. Yeah, he's like has no confidence in himself. Also we get the incredible. It's totally true, but we get the incredibly cringy ex-women line.
Yeah.
Just like girl boss. Like I don't know.
Ex-people.
It should be ex-people actually.
I figure like men is like mankind, you know, not men, like people who identify as men, just like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is a derivative. I don't know. It was kind of cringe.
Ex-person?
Yeah.
Makes it sound like they used to be a person, but now they're not anymore. And I'm an ex-person.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, she's not wrong.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like literally...
Like, the lead...
Especially in the early movies, like Storm literally saved their ass every time. Yeah. And Mystique, even though she was a villain, was like the best villain. Like, it's always the women.
She would always save Eric.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so then we cut to somewhere else, and we see these aliens land on Earth. And Jessica Chastain is like just a normal woman with her family having dinner. Here's the dog barking. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is insensitive. I don't know if this is like a group that would get mad at me for saying this. Why does Jessica Chastain look like an albino?
I don't know.
See,
she's just a very pale white woman with very white hair.
But typically her... Well, yeah, but her eyebrows. Dress. No, it's because her eyebrows are also really light, so it looks like she doesn't have eyebrows.
Yeah, well, she's doing a whoopee.
But Jessica Chastain doesn't normally look like that. I wonder if they were like, you can't have two redheads. They might get confused.
I don't know.
Or maybe that's like what the character looks like in the comics. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess that's like her whole thing is that she's just like.
I knew if like from the trailers that she was like some evil alien character, and I thought that's why she looked like that. I didn't realize she was a normal woman who then the alien like assumes her appearance.
Maybe it's supposed to be like a symbolism trick or like a flip on the head of a symbol, because like we associate like white with like purity and like clean and stuff like that, whereas like she's like an evil alien, so she's like hiding behind the guise of a nice person, like human lady. Maybe not. Maybe probably just like a weird choice.
No, I think you're onto something here. Well, maybe not though, because when I see a white person, I recoil.
You're white. You recoil every time you see
Every time I look in the mirror. Yeah, how'd you know?
No, not because she's white, but like.
Haven't you wondered why every time I go in the bathroom I go, ah!
Just the white hair, the white eyebrows, and the white dress, and the white coat later on. Oh my goodness!
Just a bunch of white, just shades of white.
Oh my goodness! In New York City, she's gonna be so dirty at the end of the day. I remember one time I wore white pants to the dentist, and I left, and they came back dirty.
This sounds like a stand-up like skit. Like once I went to the dentist. I
was like, how the fuck did something get on my pants? I literally went to a place and came back.
Anyway. So all the young X-Men, they have like a little party to celebrate their success of like literally saving the universe.
Yeah.
So because here's the thing that I don't know: are Scott and Storm and Jean? They're not students anymore because they were teenagers in the 80s. This is like a decade later.
Yeah.
But are they teachers?
Yes. I mean, at the end we see Storm teaching, but like it's kind of weird because I guess you know what it is that they're pretty much all the same age, but they're not supposed to be, and so they just like treat the newer characters like as if they're teenagers, even though if she was like 8 in 1975 and then 17 years later, like she would be what, like 24? Yeah, so like it's not underage drinking or anything, and like they totally have their own volition and like
That's what I was gonna say is like are they with students and therefore are they drinking with students?
Oh, that would be a boundary cross.
A big no-no. Because there's a lot of people at that party. There's no way those are all teachers. Because if those are also teachers, why aren't they part of the X-Men? It's like you could be a teacher, but you're not part of our intramural baseball team. You don't get to you don't get to be part of like our sports team.
Yeah.
You just get to teach. But anyway, so they're there, and then suddenly Scott's like, you know what the kids are calling you? The Phoenix. You know,
it's like a fucking trigger word. Like she was like hypnotized.
She was like activated. Yeah.
Yeah, and like every time you say Phoenix, she goes like insane. Like
yeah. And she like kind of has like a spaz out and like essentially sends out like a psychic blast, maybe? I don't know, but everyone gets knocked over. The trees get like slanted.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Charles is at like an event like in Washington, D.C.
But he still feels it.
He kind of has like a Yoda moment like in Order 66 when he like feels, he's like, like he like can feel all the Jedi dying. That scene's kind of funny because he's like very salty at the humans where he's like, like heroes, I don't know about that, but it's better than what you used to call us. Imagine if like there was like a celebrating black people event and being like, it's better than what you used to do to us. It was just very, and the people, it's just funny because they kind of like laugh uncomfortably. They're like, ha. And
then they go right back to doing that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Why are the humans painted so like, are we really like that?
Yes, absolutely.
Just, like,
look at what we do
on a dime.
Look at what we do to our own people.
Who people?
Like humans, to other humans, like other like we segment ourselves into like different races, different sexuality, right?
Yeah.
Like and like look how we like oppress and ostracize and stigmatize so many different like groups with just in our species as humanity. Imagine if there was like non-humans, like mutants. Imagine.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's true. People do better. Jeez.
You heard it here first. We've just stumbled upon something great.
Breaking news, Viviana saves the world.
Do better. Don't be mean. Jean, they put her in bed to rest, I guess. But Charles is not able to access her mind. She's so powerful. So they have to go to Cerebro because it'll amplify his powers or whatever. And I will say I do like the imagery of her mind because we've never like seen that with Cerebro before. I thought that actually looked really cool. I gotta say some of the effects of this movie are pretty cool.
Yeah. I would say the VFX are pretty
cool. Though the color is just so dark.
My god, I couldn't even see half the fucking movie because it was so dark.
It was so hard to see.
It was so dark.
To be fair, though, we always watch these movies like in the afternoon when the sun starts coming in. But even still,
like we usually like we close the blinds and like it's fine. Like with like Logan or whatever, but
at least Logan is high contrast. So like when it's bright, it's really bright.
Yeah, but like
but this is just like
even at night, like the first opening scene or like when he visits him in the water tank, like you could still see it. Whereas like there was a huge battle scene at the end. And I could not see most of it.
Viviana was like, what's going on? And I'm sitting because where I was sitting, the glare isn't as bad. So she was like, what's going on? What's happening in the movie? Because like as soon as when you're watching a movie like that, like if it's just one shot, okay, like I'll get over. But it was just like at a certain point when it's like every shot you can't see, then it's like okay, I have to get up and close the blinds.
I mean, it was like what, like 10 minutes. Like, I don't know how long that was, but it was, like,
Mm-hmm.
a decent amount of time. You know, like.
But while they're doing this, it's revealed that Charles, similar to, I guess, what he did in The Last Stand, but not to contain the Phoenix because he didn't know about the Phoenix. He, like, put basically mental blocks or walls up in her brain. But he's trying to get into Jean's head, but the Phoenix is pushing him out, whatever.
Yeah.
And Charles, like, no, starts bleeding. He basically poops himself.
What?
Like, cerebro-wise.
Yeah, his nose does start bleeding because it like, is too much. Which is weird because last time didn't it just, like, go on the fritz or something? Like.
Yeah, I don't know. He just, and then someone's like, she's changing. Into what? And I thought they were going to say, a young woman. Because this whole thing's been about puberty anyway. Like, all these movies have been a metaphor for puberty.
Really?
I guess so. When do they get their powers?
But they're old.
When do they get their powers?
Yeah, I know, but, like, she's, like, 24.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, in general. Meanwhile, we see Jessica Chastain links up with all of her other aliens.
Yes! Evil aliens!
And they basically do a big Spaceballs-esque explanation of everything. Like, we're aliens, their planet was destroyed by the Phoenix Force, they want to restart their species here. But they look at the camera and go, everyone got that? Good!
It's kind of silly because it's like, oh, this ultra-powerful force, like, destroyed our home. But also we need that ultra-powerful force to, like, take over your world and make it our own. Like, it's both a destroying and building, like, force, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they really don't explain it. Okay, Chuck.
So it's very confusing as to, like, what exactly the Dark Phoenix is, and also, like, what it can do, and
because we can't just go off the comics.
Yeah.
Because, like, clearly this is not following the comics.
Yeah. But basically, the evil alien people are trying to take our world.
Meanwhile, Jean wakes up and she's like, I heard my dad. He's not dead. I heard him. And Scott's like, no?
Why has that never happened before?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess now that she has the Phoenix Force, she's able to overcome Charles's walls.
Yeah, but, like, she didn't think he was alive.
I
don't know. Anyways, she goes to
find
her dad.
Yeah. And it turns out, yes, he survived,
Yep.
and he gave her up because he was like, I can't handle a little freakazoid.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, she did, like, very much, I feel like, unjustifiably lash out just because of a song. Like, you could just wait 30 seconds for the song to be over. You don't have to kill your parents over it. Jeez.
Yeah, she really played herself there. I
know she didn't mean to, but you're getting that upset that your powers are, like, reacting.
Mm-hmm. So the X-Men come to find her.
Yeah.
Or they go looking for her and they find her.
Yes.
And she's like, you did this, Charles. Like, why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. And they try fighting her and all this stuff. And it's actually kind of cool to see, like, how powerful she is. Like, she's basically able to, like, counteract everyone's powers, even Quicksilver's. Like, she's, like, literally able to,
Yeah, that was crazy.
She's, like, literally able to, like, perceive time slow enough in order to, like, move out of the way from him.
Yeah.
Like, that was the part that got me, like, I was like, oh, wow, you know. Oh, wow! Mystique is barely in this movie. I think Jennifer Lawrence was tired of playing this role, and I don't think she was going to come back. But she only came back, I think, as, like, a favor to Simon Kinberg, because I guess she felt loyalty to him for some reason. I don't know why.
Why is she tired of playing the role?
She was tired of wearing the makeup. She, you know what I mean? Especially after Apocalypse, like, it wasn't, like, a particularly good movie.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So she's and Jennifer Lawrence, she's definitely kind of phoning it in. Which is why they probably, because I don't think they thought of this as the last X-Men film, really.
Okay.
So I think they were still keeping in mind, like, future films.
Sure.
So, but they're like, okay, she doesn't want to be in anymore, so we gotta kill her off. So this this bitch gets Wolverined wood through it's not technically a tree. It's a wood. It's just like a plank of wood. Because basically she's trying to like reach Jean emotionally.
Yeah. But it's just like they keep stabbing people.
Because Jean basically pushes her away, literally. And then she gets it through her stomach. And Jean flies away. And they all go back home. And everyone's very sad.
Yeah.
Because Mystique's like the best teacher at the school. She's like the cool. I feel like she's like the cool English teacher who lets you eat lunch with her during lunch because you don't want to go to like the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And we actually get this pretty good scene where Hank is alone and Charles comes in and kind of is reminiscing about Raven.
Yeah.
And Hank really blames Charles for her death because in a lot of ways, like, it's Charles' fault that Jean ended up like this, but also stopped him.
Yeah, but he also stopped him from like shooting her or like stopping her, whatever he was going to do.
Like, I would say that this movie, like, not everyone, like, Jennifer Lawrence is phoning it in, but I would argue she's been phoning it in since since First Class.
What do you mean? Like, not really?
Just performance, just, like, not really putting a lot of effort in.
Yeah.
But I think they do a good job in the scene. It's, like, an interesting emotional dynamic and, like, wrinkle to the story that I wasn't expecting. Mm-hmm. Like, this, like, you know, because they kind of touched on a little bit earlier, too, with, like, the debate between Raven and Charles, and then Raven kind of talked to Hank about it later, and then Hank's, like, you know, like she was gonna leave, but she didn't.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
It's like both our parts, and like I can admit mine, but you need to admit yours. But I guess
Charles just can't admit that he's wrong, and I'm actually able to kind of buy into this emotional drama because I feel like in a movie like this, like you would have just like a stock emotional scene, like this is your fault, but this actually feels like very organic to this.
Yeah.
You know, especially because, like, there's other... But they don't make a huge point of it, but there's a recurring theme. Honestly, throughout all these of, like, Professor X not trusting Hank. Like, especially with, like... in this film, the example they give is, like, with the ship. Like, he's like, it's not meant to fly up in the... You know, but Charles, like, is insisting, like, yes, we're gonna go up and save the pilots, you know. So there's this interesting idea where it's, like, you know, I just do what you tell me to do. Like, can you just admit...
Yeah.
There's a really interesting. It feels organic.
I never caught up on that, but yeah.
So, but yeah, the alien stuff just does not work for me. At all. Like
I thought the Dark Phoenix situation would have been fine on its own. Like,
yeah,
you know, like her just like completely going out of control, not being able to handle things, but then also like kind of like deja vu, I guess, of like, oh, I did all these bad things, but I don't remember. Like, there's something inside me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I really don't understand. Like, is Jean so fucking dumb?
What?
That she, like, they go to her. Oh, well, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but...
No, she goes to see
Magneto first. Yes, so she goes to see Magneto of all people, and he's basically running a commune.
Yeah, Magneto has, like, people gardening and stuff for him.
I mean, it seems like keep Magneto there.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean? And she's basically, I don't even really understand why she goes there. Oh, basically she's like, what do you, like, you killed
like,
people? How do you not kill people? Like,
yeah, like, how'd you stop? Yeah.
Which I wanted, obviously he doesn't know the situation, but if I were him, I'd be like, well, it was easy for me because I wasn't being possessed by, like, a cosmic force.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just like a do not do kind of situation, but you're you know, it's a little bit different. But this is like, yeah, we get this, like, the film is just full of these, like, cliche lines.
Yeah.
That are just overused in movies in general. But specifically, this movie literally has her say something along the lines of, when I lose control, bad things happen. Bad things to the ones I love. Like, she says some variation of that, like 5 times.
Yeah, she says it, like, so much. I'm like, okay, we get it. What are you gonna do about it? Like,
yeah, it's just movies just so boring. So the Jean character, the Phoenix character, is just like super undeveloped. It's really funny watching Jean fly away because she just like looks up and then they just like CGI like and she just like starts flying away. So
then she leaves and then what happened?
Oh, so she goes to the bar and basically she's like pretending to be like an old man.
Yes.
And like, cause like basically by like doing a deep fake, I guess. Like,
yeah, like remember when she made them invisible?
Yeah, in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But Jessica Chastain comes in, and that is not going to work on the aliens.
Mind games don't work on aliens.
And basically she's like, I can help you become. Why does Jean listen to her? Like, is Jean stupid? Like, why does she not go, who are you? What do you want? Like, she has zero questions. She just goes with her.
Strange, monochromatic woman, comes up to you in a bar, and she can't be tricked by your mind trick thing. You should ask some questions, and you should not just take her proposition up just like that.
Yeah, it's just...
She follows her so blindly.
Yeah, it's just silly. So silly. Meanwhile, Hank goes to see Eric.
Yes.
Because he wants him to help him find Jean and kill Jean because Jean killed Raven, and they both love Raven. They're just two dudes loving Raven.
Yeah.
They love That's So Raven, and they love Raven. And Eric's like, if I find her, like, I'll kill her. And he's like, I know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
Hank.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's cool to see, like this movie, I feel like could have been
he's a lot more active.
Yeah, like, I feel like this movie had the potential to be somewhat good.
Yeah.
Like, Apocalypse, I think, was just a dumpster fire from the start. Like, it was like, there's no way you could make that good.
Yeah, but I like that Hank is more active in this.
And he has, like, his own goals and needs, and he's, like, a little conflicted, and he's flawed.
Yeah.
Like, what's his flaw been? Just not being insecure about being blue, basically.
I guess so.
Also, I didn't understand that this was something he could go in and out of. I thought he was just blue. I thought the whole point was that after First Class, he was blue.
Yes.
But then in Days of Future Past, he's like, if I take a certain serum.
Yeah.
But then it seems like this, he could just do it at will.
Yeah. Continuity error.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, maybe he takes the serum, but he really did just like go in and out. Like, no. Like, I'm surprised they didn't do it when he was talking to Charles. Like, I thought he was gonna turn, but he didn't. So.
I don't know. Anyway, I think this is like my catchphrase of this show. Anyway, it's really funny because basically they're in New York.
Yes.
City. I think they're like on Central Park.
Yeah, seems like it.
Like the Upper West Side maybe, or Upper East Side. So they're all convening because the X-Men are able to find them. Eric and Hank are able to find them. She's with the aliens. And the alien, is Eric and Hank are like, we're gonna kill her.
Yeah.
And this movie wastes their one F-bomb on Scott going up and like the dumbest like 15-year-old bro who like works out a lot and drinks a lot of protein shakes, like, touch her and I'll fucking kill you. But anyway, so they all start fighting, and Eric has brought along his merry band of mutants, and one of them has dreads that are like tentacles.
Yeah,
which was kind of cool.
That was cool and also weird, but like, cause like at one point I think Scott like takes one off, like he like,
ouch.
Could he feel that? Like,
that would probably hurt really bad.
Yeah, I bet. And now he's like one dreadless, like, because it wasn't like a bunch of dreads, like where you could hide it. It was like it was like boxer braids, like where like if you lost one, you'd just be uneven in your head. Yeah,
completely unrelated. Have you ever seen those videos of like people get haircuts, but they use like a flamethrower basically, and they keep like quickly lighting it and then cutting it, and it like gives like a certain texture to the hair on the ends.
Yeah.
It's like really cool.
Okay.
I just reminded me, we were talking about getting his tentacle sliced off.
Oh, yeah.
Like his hair. And I was like, well, those people wouldn't feel their hair burning, but he can move his like that. So, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, oh my God. So Professor X goes into the place where Jean is, and Jean's like...
Can we talk about how Eric fucking pulls a subway car out of the ground for absolutely no reason, and then like...
Every movie, they need to be like, what's something cool that Magneto can control? Every movie has its thing. For the first movie, it was all the guns. Remember at the train station, he has all the guns pointed at the police officers.
Yes.
In the second one, it's blood.
Oh, yeah.
In the third one's a bridge.
Yeah.
In First Class, it's the submarines.
Yeah.
In Days of Future Past, it's a baseball stadium. In Apocalypse, it's literally the Earth itself. This one they kind of do a little downgrade. It's just a subway car.
Oh my god!
But literally every single one.
Was that necessary though? Because he just wanted to like plug the building, but like couldn't he just move a taxi that was like?
Because also you could just walk into but you could also just walk into the subway car and then walk out through the lobby.
Yeah, or just like
he didn't use the side of the car to block the door. He like put it in like as if the subway car was going through the doors, so you could just walk through the doors on the outside and walk through and then come out on the other side. But anyway, Charles comes in and Jean's like, walk to me. So she pulls him up and makes him walk. And this stupid image.
Ridiculous.
Because poor James McAvoy had and action. He's just like walking up the stairs.
Also, is Jean like ableist? Like, why is this a thing?
I don't know.
Because she's like, oh, like you can be more powerful than you think. I guess. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is where the movie really starts to become a blur for me. Like it feels like a dream. Like I don't even remember. So basically, for some reason, she's like, oh, why? Not for some reason. Like I know the reason, but she just randomly just turns and is like, I don't want these powers. You can have them.
Yeah.
I don't want them. She's like, okay. Which begs the question, why didn't Jessica Chastain just steal the powers if she could take the powers in the first place?
I think it was like a long transfer process.
But why wasn't it the first thing she suggested to Jean?
I don't know.
But anyway, they didn't finish the transfer. Jessica Chastain escapes.
Also, we forgot to mention that Jessica Chastain and her alien people are evil.
Well, that goes without saying.
Well, yeah, but that's why she wants the powers, not because she like Jean genuinely just like wants the burden taken away. But
oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna destroy every living person on the planet. Oh yeah, of course.
Of course.
But then anyway, they get taken by the authorities. At first, they were gonna take them to the icebox. Well, that's not where they went. Anyway, but because they didn't do a full transfer, Jessica Chastain's like chasing them, and they're in all these like this train. And like I said, this really becomes a blur for me. The effects are really cool.
Yeah.
But basically, she's after them. And then I wrote Jean is dead. Basically, there's this big fight sequence that I couldn't really see because it was so dark.
That was so weird. Yeah, so basically everything happens, really cool fight scene or whatever. And then
Jean explodes. I honestly was like doing stuff on my computer at the end.
Like Jean has Jessica Chastain and she's about to kill her, like by giving her, she's like, you wanted all this power? Well, you're gonna get it. And so she's like transferring it into her, but like also killing her. But then like Scott like goes into the like force area, so like he starts to like die or whatever. And
I missed all. I was looking. I was like on my phone. I didn't even know all this.
And she was like, oh no, Scott. And then Charles was like, no, don't kill her. You'll be just like what they want. But also like they killed literally everyone else except for Jessica Chastain, so that was like literally all the other alien people, all the guard people on the train, the presumably like the cops on the street when they were like fighting each other. But no, don't kill Jessica Chastain. And she can't help herself, so she blasts off into space and kills Jessica Chastain, but I guess also kills herself in the process. Like it was just one big
explosion. Which is at the very least closer to the comics than Last Stand was, in that in Last Stand Wolverine kills her.
Yeah.
Whereas in this it's a self-sacrifice, which is what it's more like in the book. Actually, the comic book.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It's a self-sacrifice. I don't know if it's to kill I forget.
Yeah.
But it's more of a self-sacrifice. Not to kill her, but to kill the Phoenix. Like in the comics, she kills herself. Like because really the enemy is within her. Whereas in this, like she kind of could have, like if Jessica Chastain for some reason just dropped dead, then it would have been over and Jean wouldn't have had to die. Whereas in the comics, it's like the whole point.
What she could have done is she could have like tossed her up and then like and, like, killed her.
Yeah, they could have done a lot of things. They could have made a better movie. They could have done. Anyway, so Charles decides to quit being headmaster.
And first, they renamed the school after her.
The Jean Grey Learning Institute.
Yeah.
I think they just changed the name for Xavier.
Yeah.
Yeah. For gifted youngsters.
Yeah.
And
then Charles gives up.
He gives up. He goes to France. He retires.
And I guess Hank is the new headmaster. He sits in his office in his chair. So
such representation. We finally have a blue headmaster.
A blue person in office.
A person of blue. And Charles goes to Paris. He's just hanging out. And who comes to visit him? But Magneto. And he's like, we're going to hang out. We're going to play chess. And I'm like, this is very sweet and kind of rounds us back to the first movie. But what's motivating this? Like, there was no scene in this movie. Like, this movie literally had, like, I don't even know these two people spoke at all in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they barely said anything in this movie to one another.
Did they say anything to each other?
If they do, I don't remember. It was nothing of
like,
real.
Stop, Eric! You can't do this!
Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
it was over, and I clapped because it was over. No post-credit scene.
No. Is that weird? There usually is, right?
There's usually been one consistently since The Last Stand, usually. Though First Class didn't have one either.
I guess there was no, like, hope.
First Class didn't have one. Logan didn't have one either.
Oh, that's true.
I think specifically Simon Kinberg was like, no, I didn't want to do one. Logan didn't have one, and Logan was cool.
Oh, yeah.
He honestly said some kind of approximation of that.
Yeah, that's what makes it cool. Yeah, okay.
Great. Let's just do some. Maybe this is gonna be our shortest episode. It's only been an hour. I'm so bored. At least with the Deadpool 2, we padded it out with a lot of random shit. Like, literally, I don't even want to think about this anymore.
I have nothing to contribute. I felt the same before and after this movie. It really didn't penetrate my heart.
Okay, let's do some trivia.
Yeah.
So, some of these are kind of funny. The film's budget was set to be much smaller than the previous film due to the box office underperformance of X-Men Apocalypse. And executives even went as far to initially plan to release the film directly to home video and streaming.
Oh, wow.
The film was ultimately released in theaters and lost the studio almost $120 million as the second lowest grossing X-Men film of all time, only beaten out by The New Mutants, which came out the next year, which was released during the pandemic.
Oh, damn.
Okay, this is the first X-Men film to not feature Wolverine in any capacity. Because all of them have at least either he was a character, it was a cameo, or in the Deadpool's case, like in the very end, like he talks about Wolverine all the time. At the end of Deadpool, like he has like the picture of Hugh Jackman's face stapled to his face. In Deadpool 2, they used the stock footage from X-Men Origins Wolverine for the post-credits scene.
Yes, and they also have the music box.
Yeah, this is literally the first movie with there's no reference, no nothing.
Well, that's their problem right there.
There you go. Ty Sheridan, who played Scott, Cyclops, admitted shortly before the film's release that he wore a muscle suit throughout the production instead of working out.
Did he need to, though? Like, is Scott known for being buff? Like, not really, right? Like,
well, I guess he didn't want to look like a noodle man.
But James Marsden is a noodle man. Like, it's okay.
I don't know.
Embrace one's noodleness.
You're telling me. Look, I'm as noodly as they come. But okay. During a podcast, director/screenwriter Simon Kinberg took responsibility for the movie's negative critical reception, stating that he was to blame for the fact that audiences could not connect with the film. However, he pointed mostly at Disney. Like, I'm to blame. But here's actually who's really right. But however, he pointed mostly to Disney for the film's commercial failure, stating that it was their decision to release it just weeks after Avengers Endgame. Furthermore, in the wake of the Disney-Fox merger, layoffs in the Fox marketing team led to serious delays in advertisement. When Disney finally took over marketing duties, only 2 months of advertisement remained before the release, where 10 months would be standard.
Yeah, because when did this come out? Like in June, you said?
Yep.
I really think it should have been like a Thanksgiving movie. I think it would have done better. I mean, it still sucks, but like, at least, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No. The villains were
okay. Well, it wouldn't be so close that it would be outshined by Endgame. So it would be some time in between.
Oh, I see. Right? What you mean. I think you meant. I see you.
And that's a prime spot,
I thought you just meant because it would be a good Thanksgiving time.
No, because Thanksgiving, people are home, people are with their families. When they're done eating and whatnot, they go to the movies. That's like a prime thing. That and Christmas, and also summer blockbusters, like when people are out of school, right? So instead of doing it in June, right as people are going out of school, but also still thinking about Endgame, then, yeah, that would have been better. There was a whole, they should have hired me as their business consultant.
At the time, sophomore in college.
Yeah.
The villains were originally going to be the Skrulls, which were the aliens from Captain Marvel.
Oh, the green guys.
And in fact, this movie had many reshoots, some of them being the fact that the movie was very similar to Captain Marvel, actually. So they did some reshoots so it wouldn't be so similar to the Captain Marvel movie, which also came out a couple months before this.
Oh, my God.
Because think about it, shape-shifting aliens, takes place in the 90s.
Space powers,
fiery, fiery, like the creature's very almost fiery imagery of the female hero. This one just makes me laugh. Sophie Turner studied mental illnesses in preparation for playing the Dark Phoenix.
What the fuck? Okay, as a mentally ill person, I have no idea how to take that.
I don't even know what it's supposed to mean. Like
schizophrenia? You have
but what if she
another, or split personality? What?
I don't know.
What is it?
Bryan Singer was initially announced as a producer, but when sexual assault allegations about him started surfacing, his name was removed for the credits.
Yikes.
It was originally meant to be a 2-film story.
Oh.
In pre-production, 20th Century Fox was unhappy about the escalating costs, so they canned the second film. Simon Kinberg then had to retool his script to accommodate the full story into one screenplay. Maybe it would have been better that way if it was 2 films. Maybe they would have had a little more room. So but I can't imagine
2 mediocre films.
2 mediocre films, or maybe 2 okay films as opposed to 1 mediocre film. The film's infamous ex-woman line, uttered by Mystique, was rather controversial with fans and critics, especially when the scene in question was used as a promotional teaser. It was seen as a condescending attempt to reference feminism and the #MeToo movement. Ironically enough, in Deadpool 2, the title character makes a tongue-in-cheek joke about how the name X-Men is supposedly sexist. How do you feel about that as the resident woman on the show?
I thought it was a little cringe, but I'm not sure I would say it was condescending. I just feel
it's very it was. I feel. I think the point is it feels like it's pandering. It was
out of place. You could bring that up, but that wasn't the time and place.
It was just a throwaway line. It wasn't an actual organic part of the drama that was taking place.
Yeah, or being kind of commenting on something happening in the story, why is Jean out of control? Because, she doesn't get as much practice time because all the boy mutants they get more time to develop or whatever. And I don't know.
This film primarily filmed, again, in the first half of 2018.
Yeah.
Or 2017, or I forget. So it was right around that time that Me Too was really, really big.
Sure.
And not that it isn't still big, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I imagine that was very much a reaction to what if we put this line in? But then it's just cringe.
But also at the same time, why are people mad at that but not mad at Deadpool? Interesting.
Well, Deadpool, I think it's poking fun at it as opposed to this was meant to be a sincere. Girl boss moment. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, websites like Mashable and Uproxx reported incidents at their screenings where fire alarms went off during the film's third act, and some people did not want to return to finish watching it afterwards.
Oh, yikes.
The subway train crashing through the wall behind Magneto is a real train on a hydraulic rig.
Oh.
It was supposed to stop a few feet further back, but traveled further than intended, knocking down some ceiling tiles very close to Michael Fassbender. Fassbender, ever the professional, didn't even flinch, and the shot made it into the finished film.
That's like with Leo when he like cuts his hand and he's like really screaming.
Oh, in Django Unchained.
Yeah, or like
he actually had blood and he was like rubbing it on Kerry Washington's face and like.
Or like what's his name? Viggo Mortensen. When he kicks the
helmet, in the Two Towers. Yeah. I can't wait till we do that. That's a franchise with 4 more films.
Yeah, baby.
That'll be one I don't know. That's gonna be a lot. That's gonna be because if we do what we do now, where we watch it and then record, that's like a 6 hour. That's like the whole day of just doing the podcast.
We're gonna have to trim that down a little bit.
And then I actually noticed this one during the film. The special team that captures the mutants near the end are called the Mutants Control Agency in the comics. Mm-hmm. But the patches on their shoulders actually read MCU. This may be an in-joke to the fact that Disney bought 20th Century Fox in 2019, meaning that the X-Men was absorbed into Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, you were the one that caught on to that because I'm
a genius. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, I thought it said MCC because it was like Mutant Containment Center. But
Media, Culture, and Communications, the program at NYU Steinhardt School. So it's a very specific reference. Oh, the MCC program. Oh. Okay, so let's talk about the critical reception, which is not good. It is by far the worst received film.
Yeah.
On both Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd. Rotten Tomatoes has a 22%. So it means that only 22% of critics gave it a positive review, and who knows those could have all just been like 6s. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone gave this like 5 stars, must go see, A+.
You know how like people use the thing, like the term like, oh, it's just one apple doesn't spoil the bunch. Well, this bunch is spoiled.
I mean, like,
rotten!
I've said, I've been keeping track of our ratings for the films and like averaging them out.
Yeah.
And looking at our like averaging like the whole series out.
Sure.
For both of us, as well as like I'm talking about the Letterboxd scores, as well as just averaging all of like all the Letterboxd scores.
Okay.
Like the average score for the X-Men franchise on Letterboxd would be like 3.1. I was like, that's really low. But then you remember like a lot of these movies have like really low, because like a lot of these movies are really bad. And that's something that we're going to kind of talk about in our next episode when we kind of finish up the X-Men franchise. Oh, we're almost at the end.
Aww. And we're going to end it on the worst one. Aww.
Well, this may be the worst. I don't know. But it's the thing that we're kind of seeing with this franchise is like, it really is a crapshoot. You do not know what you're going to get. With the MCU, you have a pretty good idea where it's like...
Is it that hard? Like, I mean, like the MCU makes it work. I don't know. Do they... Maybe Kevin will spruce it up a little bit because this is just
probably
sad.
Not though, because like I don't know.
They're so cool. Like,
I mean, I'm not a huge fan with what they've done with like Spider-Man and like
Spider-Man movies kind of fuck.
The MCU ones, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, hot take. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, I would say I think the value of something like I'm kind of spoiling like what I think we should talk about in the next episode. But like one of the things about the X-Men franchise is like, I'm kind of down with their approach because, you get a lot of shitty movies, but then you get some, like, really great ones. Whereas with the MCU, like, it's a lot more, like, consistently, good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, you don't have as many,
it's more
like, really, really great
cultural. Ones. And I think that's why they keep making, like, okay movies, you know? Because it's very cultural.
The way I heard described is, like, the way I heard someone compare it, I think this is a great comparison, not in reference to X-Men, just looking at the MCU in general.
Okay.
Is that it's like fast food. Where if you go to a McDonald's in Iowa or Kansas or New York or California, a Big Mac is probably going to taste the same.
Yes.
It's meant to be standardized, but because of that, like, it can only be so good.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you just try, like, a random burger place...
Yeah.
It can either be amazing or it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
Or it could also just be okay.
Yeah.
But like, you don't know is the point.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the analogy where it's like other movies like can be more like artistic's the wrong word, but like auteur. Like there's more of like a voice, a creative vision. And that vision may be good or bad.
Yeah, like with Logan.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do give this franchise credit that it tries new things, is different viewpoints, different directors,
That is
different kinds of movies. Like you have something as silly as X-Men Origins Wolverine and then something as serious as Logan. Like it's amazing those are in the same franchise.
That's true. Like, I do give it credit for that, and, like, it's bold, and it tries new things, and, like, you know, but I don't know. There's just something about the good old days, you know? There's just, like, you just, like, can't compete, or at least these ones haven't been able to.
Compared to the older X-Men films, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's put a pin in this, because this is great stuff for
The next one.
the last episode.
Yeah.
Because in addition to talking about New Mutants, I was debating if we should have a whole separate episode just talking about the franchise at large.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do you think it's better just to talk about it at the end of New Mutants, or have its own episode? Like it could be a shorter episode, like just 30 minutes. Like,
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Like, if we don't have a lot to say with New Mutants, then I say tack it on. But, you know, if it's our regular, like, 2 hour, you know, hour and a half, then, you know, that's kind of laborious. So.
Yeah. It may be kind of good to, like, have, like, a breather and just, like, even if it's just shorter, just 30-minute episode, just talk about, like, we'll do that for all the franchises.
Yeah.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are enjoying this, because, like, you're kind of hearing a podcast get developed while we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, because
like, we're kind of, like, coming up with it, like,
we're stockpiling it, so we're not able to get, like, reception.
We're kind of workshopping it.
Yeah. So once
while we're recording,
this comes out, you know, and you're listening, feel free.
All four people. Yeah. Please, by all means, let us know what you think. And,
hi, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, if you think your mother is listening to this,
not listening to this.
This goes against your mom's whole ethos of, like, movie watching. Of just, like,
my mom gets mad at me if I talk about this for, like, 2 minutes. Like
even like the slightest analyzing.
She got mad at me when I laughed at Shang-Chi, sorry.
Did you just say Chang-Chi?
Yeah, because I was, like, laughing, and
you're racist. That's what.
No.
So here's what the critical consensus is on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, bringing it back to the 22%. Dark Phoenix. This is the consensus. Dark Phoenix ends an era of the X-Men franchise by taking a second stab at adapting a classic comics arc with deeply disappointing results.
Oh no!
But I think that's exactly right. I don't know if I would use deeply, but definitely disappointing results. Especially because, like, here's the thing: is I'm very picky with movies. I think sometimes I get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Or bad rep. Is it a bad rep or rap?
Rep.
I get a bad reputation.
Yeah.
Like, people like, oh, like, you're, like, too hard on movies.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't start a movie going, oh, I can't wait to, like, for this to be bad. Yeah, like every movie, there's so many times I watch a movie that, like, ends up being, like, bad or even just okay, that, like, the first 10, 15 minutes of it, I'm like, you know what? I'm into this. I really like, I try to find the good.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't help but also notice the stuff that doesn't work.
Because, like, once you...
Like, I want to be the one person. Like, I take pride in being, like, the one person who liked Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. like, I want to go into movies that are supposedly awful.
A major fan of The Boss Baby.
A huge fan of The Boss Baby. Like, I don't mind... I'm okay being outspoken and liking things that other people don't like. So this isn't me going into it being like, everyone told me this was bad, so I'm just going to think it's bad without making my own opinion. Like, I went into this hoping it would be good. That everyone else was wrong.
No, it's like, it really is transformative. Like, obviously you went to, like, film school and stuff, and, like, I had some film training, but, like, you know, talking to you, but also, like, doing my own research and, like, you know, becoming an honorary film bro and whatnot. You know, it's like you really...
You're part of the club.
Yeah, you, like, really take off these, like, rose-colored glasses of just, like, being a watcher for, like, entertainment purposes, and, like, you know, you can really appreciate, like, all the effort, time, money, sweat, blood that goes into movies, and, like, you know, the finished product it's kind of amazing. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I knew nothing about behind the scenes and stuff, right? So once you finally figure that out, like, you're like, okay, we could have done something differently to make it better, you know? But I feel like a lot of times, either, you know, it's probably a lot for money, but, like, just trying to appeal to the masses and not so much, like, making good work. Like,
that you're hitting the head, like, you're really hitting the nail on the head.
Like, it's like completing your homework assignment, but, like, not doing a good job. Just, like, doing it to be done with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like when you do your math homework and you have the right answers, but you didn't show your work.
Yeah, so it's like once you know...
I mean, that's, like, just a big problem in Hollywood that's just been, like, since for decades.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like we're
not really saying anything new here. Yeah,
we're not trying to be assholes or anything, but like, you know, you can tell eventually if you've seen a shit ton of movies like we have, like, you know, you can tell.
You can see where they're being lazy because like they're just like copying what other movies are doing.
Yeah, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a film degree. Like, if you just watch a bunch of movies, you can tell, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like...
I think I've noticed you having like a more keen eye.
Yeah.
Like, because we'll be watching stuff and then like you'll say something and be like, why did they do that? And then you'll answer your own question by being like, you know, if it's like, why did they write that scene that way? It's like, oh, probably because that actor didn't want to be in the movie. Like that. like you're more aware of like,
because
like not even like specific movies behind the scenes, but just like the idea of like being able to tell like, okay, this was probably done this way for not a creative reason, but like a really dumb, like real world reason.
Yeah. I mean, because you really do have to like take that into account, I think. Like, when you start to notice those things, those plot holes, those like, you know, things that just don't add up or make sense, like, you know, you have to think about like, oh, this probably something happened here, you know, like it's not just shitty for its own sake. Sometimes it is, but, you know, sometimes it's not. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say, you're listening to this and obviously you like movies and you don't care, but other people like my mother, they don't really care to talk about movies in this extent, in depth.
Well, because I certainly feel like there's the whole thing about, it's like when you go to film school or just do like what you're describing where you just like watch a lot of movies and learn more about it. Yeah. It kind of ruins movies for you.
Yeah.
But I think that's like not a fair assessment because I think it just makes you more aware. Yeah. So I think it makes you like, if you're just like a normie.
Sure.
Like you might see a movie and I liked that. Or you might see the movie like, I didn't really like it. Having a better understanding of it means that the stuff that you wouldn't like you really don't like. Yeah. But the stuff that you like, or that you would like, you really like. Like, it just makes you have stronger opinions about it.
Yeah. It's just...
Which I feel, whereas most people just watch movies and just go like, oh yeah, that was good. It wasn't for me.
Like, people want to enjoy movies, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if they
especially if they go to the theater and see it and spend money.
Yeah. So if they take the time to, like, you know, dissect it and say, like, you know, I really enjoyed this, but here's how it could have been better. Like, kind of, you know, it is a little too decisive for some people. Like, you know, they just want to like enjoy it, right? Like, they don't want to.
It's like, why am I doing homework afterwards?
Yeah, like why are you criticizing it so much? You know, you like go to a museum and you see a painting and you like it or you don't. It's not like we're not going to talk about like what it's made of or like the process or what it means or the interpretations or the cultural, you know, value of it. You know, because then that it takes it apart. It really like makes it naked.
Yeah, I guess it kind of be like for me, like I don't know anything about like cooking. Well, I do cook sometimes, but like I'm not like a color. Like I don't eat food or see food the way that someone who like really understands like combining different tastes, like almost like as like an artistic venture. I don't understand that, so I can't imagine thinking about my meal for hours after eating it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's the same for people. Like for them, it's just food. It's just something to nourish your, your brain. Like you just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
Like it's nourishing your desire to be entertained or
like it tastes
moved.
good or whatever. And like, but she can talk for hours about real estate. I'm like, I don't give a shit about the real estate market. So
I really hope she listened. I really hope that she's like, you know what? I think I'll finally give her podcast a chance and starts with this one.
What is this, like 12?
This is our 12th episode.
12
yeah, this will be the 12th episode. Yeah. One last thing about the critical reception in terms of contemporary Letterboxd, 2.2 out of 5. The lowest of any film in the franchise. Yeah. Though New Mutants is not much higher, which we'll talk about in our next episode. Okay, so this is gonna be hard. Favorite part of the movie?
I'm going to say James McAvoy.
Really? Why? Because he was kind of a knob in this movie.
Yeah, but like.
Not him, but the character, Charles. Yeah.
I don't know. At least it was like interesting to watch. Like, I don't know. And like, I mean, it's Professy. You know, you gotta love Professy. kind of like a familiarity, and I don't know, just like the one part that I like could tolerate watching. But yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, the rest seemed pretty silly.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with specifically the scene where Charles meets a young Jean. Mm-hmm. That little interaction, I thought that was very cute.
Yeah.
I thought it was really captured both of their characters fairly well, particularly Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to leave that in.
No.
I'm going to leave that in.
No one wants to.
Okay. Rating. 1 to 10. A 5 would be like mediocre. A 4 would be like it's bad. You gave Apocalypse a 4 for reference. You could go lower than 4 if you want.
This is very generous, but I guess a 5. Like,
so a little bit better than Apocalypse.
A little bit better than Apocalypse, but still incredibly boring and not emotionally worth investing at all.
Okay. You gave Deadpool a 5, so which would you say is better?
Ooh.
I feel like this is easy. Come on.
I feel like this one was better because I just...
What? The Deadpool?
I just have a strong disdain for Deadpool. I don't know why.
Jeez, okay. You heard it here first, folks. Dark Phoenix
that just not
above Deadpool.
That just did not land for me. But like also with this one, like it didn't land either, but at least it's like, you know, I don't know. It doesn't make my skin crawl. I'm just more like a
yeah, I'm gonna give this a 5 as well. I think it's just painfully mediocre.
Yeah. Painfully, very painful.
Deeply disappointing. Yeah. As Ron Domingo said. Now the question is it better than Apocalypse? I mean, you said yes. But
I said yes because the whole concept seems kind of silly, and also it's not very focused. I feel like Apocalypse is just like it was just played out very silly.
Like here's where I stand. I feel like Apocalypse has higher highs.
Yeah.
But lower lows.
Yeah.
Like, because Apocalypse has, like, all the stuff with Magneto in Poland and stuff.
Oh,
and, like,
shit. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I
don't know. I feel like they should have... That makes me sad, remembering that those good parts are in them.
I'm going to give this movie a 5, and I'm going to put it below Apocalypse. Yeah, I during the movie I was thinking I think this is better than Apocalypse, but it got worse and worse and worse as it went on.
Yeah.
Like again, like you said, like I think I'm being generous with a 5. Like in some ways it should be like I don't think I could bring myself to give it a 4 because there was nothing like horribly bad. It was just like Venom is a 4. Venom is a bad movie. The editing is bad. The writing makes no sense. Venom. Like I feel like once you get into 4 territory, it's like literally like as a film, it is like starting to be like bad. Yeah. Like it's like
like it has some redeeming qualities. Like the VFX are cool. The concept, I guess,
just kind of forgettable.
Cool. You know, it's like I don't know.
So I'm gonna give it. So this is my worst X-Men film.
It's like a breeze. You know,
so far.
Comes and goes.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
I know. All right. That's it for this week's episode of Now That's What I Call a Franchise. Next week, we'll be watching the next and final film in the franchise, as of now, at least.
Oh, yeah.
The 2020 film, The New Mutants. Viviana, where can they find us?
You guys can find us wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Franchise Podcast to stay up to date.
We know you guys have many podcasting options, and we thank you for choosing us. Peace out, guys.
Bye.